What is up, everyone? Very happy to see you all again, even though of course I cannot actually see you through my screen. I hope you are all doing very well, and most of you will recognize this screen from the game called Kerbal Space Program. This is a game that has been featured on YouTube multiple times by multiple users now. There's some very good videos and some very good Let's Plays in there, and I thought I would add my own to that because I've been absolutely addicted to this game. What is this game, I hear you ask? For those of you who do not know, O ye of little faith, Kerbal Space Program is all about these guys, which are Kerbals. They live on this planet, which is called Kerbin, and right now their main objective in the game is get to this planet, which is called the Mun. This is actually the Kerbal equivalent to our own moon, only they call it the Mun. This is just about the only thing that you can do in Kerbal Space Program right now, because it is pretty much still in alpha. The developers are still working on it. They have added a lot of very nice features to it. I have to say I am really impressed by this, but it is still an alpha. I think they will be adding missions, real missions, later on, but right now you can pretty much just go nuts with building your spaceship, launching it, and then seeing how many Kerbals you can actually keep alive, because that is actually the hardest part of all of this game at all. Now, like I said before, the biggest thing you can do right now is get to the Mun, which is also the hardest thing. I've only managed it twice out of about, well, let's say I've lost count of the attempts that I did to get to this damn Mun, so I've actually stopped trying, and I'm going to focus this Let's Play on exploring the planet of Kerbin, because it looks a lot like Earth and I really want to know more about it. So as you can see, actually, if I press start game here and I go to the tracking center, which tracks all of your spaceships that are in your universe, you can actually see that I already have been flying around quite a bit. There's a bit of space debris there, don't worry about that. There's a lot of debris around the launching pad, don't worry about that either. And there's actually a craft going quite fast, the Aurora Mark I. That was actually the first spaceship that I managed to get in a pretty stable orbit around Kerbin. I was actually pretty happy with that. That was the first thing I actually got into proper orbit. Then when I did that, I also got 2 or 3 landers actually on the Mun right there, but those are just simple landers, and that was only the 80th attempt or something to get a craft on the Mun. And I thought, well, I'm on the Mun now, that's all good, but I want to know more about Kerbin. So I started exploring the polar region, and I've actually gotten 2 very simple landers on there as well as a piece of debris. Don't worry about that. I'm sure Greenpeace will give me a call about that, but I'm not going to clean it up, that's their duty. So let's look at the Polar Explorer 1, because the problem is not getting to the pole. That is quite easy. You can quite easily get a spacecraft up into the atmosphere, point it at the North Pole, then give it a little bit of wheelie and just wait until the orbital trajectory stops at the North Pole. You can just cut all engines, let her rip, and when you're above the pole, activate some parachutes, and you're there. That's exactly what I did with this ship. And as you can see, Bob Kerman right now is the only resident of the North Pole on Kerbin. I can actually have him set foot on the North Pole. As you can see, I've put 2 ladders on this thing because I had just this one on top here at first, and it just wasn't long enough to span the height of the rocket. So I've put another one on there, and it kind of clips into the ground, but it doesn't really matter. And it also intersects nicely with the ladder on top of it. So if I just send Bob on an EVA right now, he can climb down the ladders and just switch to the second ladder, no problem. And I can actually have him set foot in the icy night time. Let's put on his lights here. The icy night time of the Kerbal pole, and he's looking very contemplative to the moon there. He would really like to go there, but what he forgets is that he is the first Kerbal on the polar region, so that he should be proud of that. Be proud of that, damn it, Bob. You are the first Kerbal to ever set foot on the North Pole. I know it's strange that that your race has evolved to the point you can even start a space program, but you have never actually set foot on the North Pole. There's nothing here as far as we can see. Now, I can hear you ask already, if you have gotten to the North Pole already, why do it again? Well, as you can see, this thing is standing on a few landing legs. It's not that difficult to land a thing like this. I've done it with parachutes. I've actually landed this one with an engine that broke off during landing, but we won't talk about that. We won't talk about that day. I have a little bit of fuel left, but I can't actually go anywhere with this. I can fly straight up, sure. Lose all my fuel and crash down, or just use the parachutes and land again and then be stuck forever, but I cannot drive around. So to my knowledge, it is not real exploration. Bob has been here for over a month, more than 31 days, and he hasn't moved around a bit. So that is what I want to change. I want to make a lander that can land on the North Pole, land safely on some struts, switch to some wheels, and actually drive around. Preferably not just with one Kerbal in there, but with 3, because the North Pole gets lonely, and Kerbals are pack creatures. They need to have some company. So let's get started on that. I'm gonna go ahead to the Space Center, and I think our first order of business should be to find out the layout of our landing craft and a way to actually get it to drive around, because right now in Kerbal Space Program, there is no real way to put wheels on a vehicle and have it drive around. Everything still works with jet engines. So I suggest we start with the space plane hangar. Now, why the space plane hangar, I hear you say? Well, for one reason, if we start building something in a vehicle assembly building, it's gonna go vertical. It will be in a vertical orientation. We can still build with all the same parts, but I can't really put it on the ground horizontally and test its engine. While if we build it in a space plane hangar, I can actually start building horizontally, and that will allow me to use this runway to test what engine would be best for something to drive around in. So we're gonna go to the space plane hangar. I've already given this some thought, and I think we are going to use the Mark III cockpit because it can hold 3 Kerbals in there, and it's also nice and flat at the bottom, which should give us some wiggle room. As you can see, like I said, it starts out horizontally, so we can just build behind here. But this will be the base of our lander, of our exploration craft. So let's give it, let's think of a good name. I think let's start with Polar, not Plor. No, just Polar, and it's going to be an Polar experimental. I don't know. No, let's do it. Let's call it the Polar Exploration Vehicle 1. Yeah, that sounds good. So let's save that, and then let's see, what else do we need? Well, to drive around, like I said, you can only use jet engines and liquid fuel engines and that sort of thing, but you need fuel for that, and we don't have that right now. And now, if I'm not mistaken, there is a part that connects to this that has fuel in it. Is it the Mark III fuselage? It is! Oh, look at that. That fits perfectly. Oh, that'll be cool. That looks cool. So let's get an engine on there right now. So this is actually where we get to testing engines. Now we could start using this one. This has a max thrust of 20. I don't know 20 what, it just has a max thrust of 20, which is not too much, but I know from earlier testing that you don't need that much thrust to propel a vehicle which is on wheels. So we're going to start, this is actually the smallest engine in there. We could start with that, put that behind there, and then of course we also need some wheels. So let's get some of those. I believe they're in here, yeah. Let's get some symmetry going, and I think we can put the wheels, yeah, like that. But I think I want to turn them the other way around because that would give me some more support, I believe. And then 2 more wheels in the back. Yeah, like that. And this would be the basis of our lander craft. So it hasn't got much, well, it hasn't got anything in terms of flying or going up. But this is just to decide what kind of engine we're going to use and how much the fuel consumption is, because this thing is going to be on there for quite some time, so it needs a lot of fuel to be able to do some real actual exploration. So we're going to save this and then put it on a runway and see how effective the engine really is. I'm just going to give it a little, just a little test run. As you see, there is already 3 Kerbals in there. We have Rodorf Kerman, Edwin Kerman, and Dilnard Kerman, and they are scared as hell while on the runway, and I would be scared as hell as well, because I know what they are going to do. If this test succeeds, we're going to go on and put a huge rocket on this and just see how high we can get and everything, but that is for a later test. First, we are going to see if this engine actually suffices in pushing our polar exploration device forward. So let's activate the engine and then see how much throttle we need to actually get forward. So I'm giving it about 1/5 now, and we're not moving. Let's put it up to 1/3. We are still not moving. Let's put it to 2/3. Let's put it up to full. Yeah, this is not gonna work. I don't see this working in any way. This is way too little power to propel this thing. So let's cut the engine. Well, at least my Kerbals are happy. End this flight. Yes, I'm pretty sure. And go back to the space plane hangar. Let's try out some different engines, because this obviously doesn't work. Now this one had a max thrust of 20 whatever. We have some more engines, 135, but that seems a bit excessive. 200, 250. Oh, we have a jet engine. This jet engine has a maximum thrust of 100, which is already 5 times the capacity of this one. Let's try that out. This is actually a different kind of engine. Save that and launch. Go back to the runway. It's basically a whole different kind of engine, but hey, whatever works, right? We'll be on the pole. We'll be on the North Pole in not too long. So, see what this actually does. We'll have the computer calculate all the things, and I think it's calculating just how afraid these Kerbals are. Have it settle. Yeah, it's settled. Okay. Let's put it to 1/3, and let's activate the engine. Have it spin up. As you can hear, it's now spinning up. And it's actually producing power now, and we are still not moving an inch. So let's try 2/3 throttle. See what that goes. Oh, we're actually oh, cut the engine. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, this is, oh yeah. Okay, so we actually have some thrust going on here. But the, okay, we're accelerating quite fast. This is quite difficult to control, because if I put this at the first peg, then we're not going forward. If I put it at the second peg, it spins up in such a way that it produces too much power, and we throttle up almost indefinitely. So we can't really maintain a constant speed, which is really what I want, because you don't want to be skiing over a polar surface and crashing into a mountain on a mission like this. And right now it's not even spinning up, we're just losing speed, so I'm going to turn it up another peg and see what that does. Yeah, there we go again, and now we're again accelerating. So it's really hard to control the amount of thrust. Oh god, we have just run out of runway. No, 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 no. Okay. On the brakes. Yes, brake. I'm alternating brakes here, and we have stopped. Okay, so that worked, but it's not ideal. We need something that we can control more. So, end flight. Yes, I'm sure. Spaceplane hangar. Okay, so the jet engine worked, but it's not ideal. So let's try another liquid fuel engine. Actually, what do these do? These have a max thrust of 80. I wonder if that works, because this will be the next engine we would try, but this has a max thrust of 200, which is a bit excessive, I think. It's quite a step up from 100, but if we put 2 of these on, max thrust of 80 would give us 160. That is still more, way more than the basic jet engine, but it would be controllable. We have more control over it. So let's actually put 2 of them on there. Like, let's keep it simple. Let's just put them on the side. Yeah. No, it's not working. Come on. Why can I not attach this to the side? Is it because the wheels are in the way? Okay, oh, no problem. Let's just put it on there. Yeah, that works. And also didn't like the way that when I spooled up the engine, it pushed the wheels forward. So there's anything we can do about that. That would be great. How are we going to solve that? Okay, let's keep that for another time. Let's just save and launch now and see if these engines work, because that is really your biggest concern here. We, as of yet, have found a way of propelling our vehicle on the North Pole. It just didn't work very well because we couldn't control the throttle well enough. So let's wait for the computer to settle. There we go. Let's kill the throttle, activate the engines, and give it a one peg of one. And with a peg, I mean one of these little stripes. So we're now on one peg of thrust, and we're not moving. 2 pegs gives us no movement yet. 3. Nope, none the slightest. Let's go to 1. Okay, you see, that's exactly what I was talking about. That's what I want to avoid. But at least these engines do propel us a little bit. But again, we seem to be going too fast for our own good. I'm just trying to keep in the middle of the runway right now. It's not too difficult, but we're still accelerating quite fast, and the engine isn't even that. The throttle isn't even that high, and it also seems to have a tendency to go to the right. I'm not touching the controls right now, and we are still veering off to the right quite dangerously. So I'm going to cut engines and try to brake before we crash into the end of the... Oh, don't brake too fast. No. Okay. But at least we know... Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, that was disastrous. At least the whole thing didn't explode and my Kerbal survived, but... Yeah, I think we really need a better way of controlling our throttle, because as of yet, I can just... Well, I can't even put it to 1/3 without it going crazy and just trying to shoot this thing into space instantly. So I think that will be for next time, because right now I feel really sorry for these Kerbals. Thank you for watching this first episode. Keep a look at your inbox for any follow-up episodes I might make. I am going to try to get this thing to the North Pole if it is the last thing that I do. I will get more than one Kerbal on the North Pole. I can promise you that. For now, thank you for watching, and I see you guys in the next episode.